Welcome back in. Welcome back in. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Cody, you are first up today. Who is the first running back you want to discuss in terms of a breakout season incoming?
Let's talk a little Rashad White. And this isn't necessarily an offense as a whole that I'm excited about, but White looks like he's going to be in line for a large workload, and that's something that we should be excited about. Then you add in his price. He's RB25 right now on underdog going in the seventh round. And to me, that's an easy pick to make if that's where his ADP is going to stay. He quietly had 50 receptions in his rookie season. That was good for 11th among running backs. He was 16th in routes run. Now, obviously, that type of target share and maybe even volume likely isn't going to stay there because the Bucs aren't going to be dropping back over 700 times like they did last year. Now with having Baker Mayfield or Kyle Trask at the helm. But what this has already proven is that they believe in Rashad White as a pass catcher. Earlier in the offseason, Todd Bowles has been talking about how they want Rashad White to be a three-down back this year. So that bodes well for him. I don't think he has a high touchdown ceiling just because I'm not huge on this offense as a whole. But I think he should be a safe weekly option and rack up over 1,000 yards from scrimmage.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you with Rashad White. I'm just not all that excited about this offense. We keep seeing these clips from OTAs come out of Trask and Baker Mayfield just sailing balls over and over again. Poor Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but hey, at least they got their Super Bowl. So for me, I want to hit on Dameon Pierce, currently sitting at RB 20, 65th overall in terms of ADP right now. Last year, I mean, he was really, really solid before he got hurt. And this was in an offense that was absolutely dreadful last year. 63% of the snaps that he played, sixth in opportunity share among all running backs, averaged about 17 carries per game, 3 targets per game, had over 1,000 total yards and 5 touchdowns. He was 20th in fantasy points per game, but he was also really efficient. He was 12th in yards after contact per attempt and 5th in missed tackles forced last year. This offensive line has been improved. This year, they obviously traded for Shaq Mason. Their offensive tackles, as long as they can stay healthy, are some of the best in the game as well. And so I think this offensive line can be pretty good. And obviously, they went out and drafted CJ Stroud, which is a big time upgrade over what they had in Davis Mills. So while I think this offense can take a step forward, I'm not looking for a drastic change, but I think some of these zone schemes that you're going to be seeing from the Kyle Shanahan offense that's going to be brought over in this new coaching regime here in Houston, I think it also bode well for Dameon Pierce. We can't forget, Dameon Pierce is also a very good pass catcher out of the backfield. He was very good at that in college at Florida as well. So, yes, Devin Singletary is there. Yes, I don't think Dameon Pierce is going to be handling 80% of the opportunities, but I definitely think he can have something very similar to what he had last year, playing roughly 60, 65, maybe 70% of the snaps in this backfield. So I really like Dameon Pierce. I think he can easily get over 1,000 rushing yards this year, and probably somewhere in that 6 to 8 touchdown range. So if his ADP is going to hold at this range, I'm going to be all in on Dameon Pierce as a price.
And your boy survived the draft, and that was the biggest thing. Moving on, my next breakout for the 2023 NFL season. He sort of already had a breakout year in his rookie year where he had over 800 yards rushing, but that is going to be JK Dobbins. Now, I want to start this off real quick with the thing that excites me the most about this offense in general, and that is the addition of Todd Monken at offensive coordinator. It's going to open things up for this Ravens offense. That's going to mean good things for JK Dobbins as well. So just, I want to run through this real quick and why I'm excited about this. So in Monken's 4 years as an NFL OC, he's had at least 70 targets go to running backs. In his most recent year with the Browns in 2019, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt combined for over 90. That year, Chubb had 49 targets, and that still stands as the most targets that he's seen in a season in his NFL career. Monken hasn't had an offense below 56% pass to run ratio in his 4 years as an NFL offensive coordinator. Greg Roman was bottom 3 in pass to run ratio in 3 of his 4 years with the Ravens. Monken was also top 11 in situation neutral pace of play in 3 of his 4 seasons. Roman was never higher than 22nd. So why does this matter? Why obviously that was a lot of stuff about the passing game. Why does that make me excited about J.K. Dobbins? One, the higher pace of play means more play volume, which means more potential opportunity for Dobbins. The higher pass and run ratio is going to help out two different ways. One, obviously, it's going to be able to get Dobbins more opportunity and targets as a pass catcher. It was something he was good at Ohio State. We obviously haven't seen it yet because of the offense, because of the injury where he missed all of the 2021 season. But it's something he's more than capable at. And then second, it's going to give him more running room. In Dobbins' 2 years in the NFL, he has faced the seventh most and the second most average defenders in the box. So it's going to give him more room to operate, potentially more targets as well. Now, I don't think it's, Dobbins going to go out and be like an 80 target type of running back. It's not what he's going to be. But just by having, let's say 40, 45 targets, that's going to, it's going to increase his floor, especially in your PPR, half PPR league. So it's something I'm definitely excited about for 2023.
Yeah, and I think also, second year coming off the knee injury and everything else is also going to be a
Yeah,
big positive. We
probably.
also see that quarter or running backs tend to kind of take off after that. So I'm really high on JK Dobbins this year. I think this can be the year he kind of puts it all together and kind of breaks out. And I think he finishes an RB1 this year. Like, I don't think that's very much of a hot take whatsoever. So he is somebody that I really like. Speaking of not being vultured in the draft, I have Isiah Pacheco here, currently coming off the board at RB24, 77th overall. I kind of felt like he would have been a little higher than this. They really haven't done anything here in this offense in terms of bringing in competition. They brought back Jerick McKinnon as CH. Now we know Andy Reid likes to throw a wrench in the plans like we've seen in years past, where they brought in guys like Ronald Jones and LaShawn McCoy and all this other stuff. But overall, I'm not really all that concerned with it. Really, we saw in the playoffs last year, Isiah Pacheco kind of took over this offense. There's been some talk out of OTAs how they want to get him more involved as a passer or as a pass catcher out of the backfield too. He had over 830 rushing yards, 13 receptions, 130 receiving yards, and 5 touchdowns last year. He was 10th in true yards per carry, and I hope he learns to be a little bit more of a patient runner right now, because if you watch him, he's like the Tasmanian devil back there. He just, as soon as he gets it, he's just fucking gone. And just sometimes has the habit of running into the back of his offensive line, not allowing holes to open up. So if he can develop a little bit more of a patience, and let things just kind of happen, because the Chiefs' offensive line is top 10 in the league. Like, allow that offensive line to set up those blocks for you. But anytime you can get a running back in the Chiefs' offense, I'm about that. I've seen people bring up Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon just ran super hot on touchdowns when he scored like a touchdown in 7 straight games. Like, that's not going to happen again. And so I just think Isiah Pacheco is the running back to own. If you're in a super deep league, you want to pick up Deneric Prince. He's kind of been the guy that everyone's kind of talked about. It's like, oh, he's like the next Isiah Pacheco, because they're very similar in terms of their athleticism and everything else. It wouldn't shock me if he made the team, because they are not carrying a fullback. They finally let that go. They said they're not going to bring a fullback back. So Andy Reid finally, got rid of the fullback. So there might be another spot here for a running back where he could possibly make the roster if they don't bring in a veteran. Overall, I really like Isiah Pacheco, especially at the cost that he's at. RB24, 77th overall is a steal for a running back in the Chiefs offense. And lastly, I want to talk about Cam Akers, RB23, 74th overall, very similar range. And this is kind of a different situation, but also similar, because there's nobody else there in this backfield. It's Kyren Williams, Zach Evans, which I'm not worried about. I know the Zach Evans truthers out there are going to be like, he's going to take over the job from him and everything. I was like, I'm not worried about Zach Evans. And then Ronnie Rivers. That's it. If you look at Cam Akers last year, it was a very wild ride for him. At one point, it looked like he was going to get released, traded, and that's not what happened. It was actually Darrell Henderson that happened to. And then all of a sudden, Cam Akers, weeks 11 through 18, just went off. In a really bad situation. Obviously, Matt Stafford was gone. Cooper Kupp was gone. Those guys were all down with injuries. And, he had averaged almost 16 carries a game, averaged almost 89 total yards, and almost a touchdown per game over that span. 14.48 fantasy points per game, which is RB8 over weeks 11 through 18. He was actually pretty efficient, 10th in yards after contact per attempt last year. Cam Akers was really good. Now, we know he was coming off that Achilles injury, and maybe that's why the early year struggles were with him. But I think in a full offseason, being healthy, I think, we all loved Cam Akers pre-Achilles injury. Nobody expects him to come back the year prior the way he did. Obviously he was not efficient. It's kind of something we talked about. But I think with all that behind him now in a full offseason of being healthy, I think Cam Akers could be a major steal here. I think this offense is going to be better than it was last year, as long as Matt Stafford can be healthy, Cooper Kupp being back. Like, I think this offense has enough to still be a functional at least, maybe average NFL offense, but it's going to be good for Cam Akers in the long run. I think he can also be involved in the passing game. I do expect Kyron Williams to mix in the passing game third down option as well. But Cam Akers has proven, when he's healthy, that he can be that guy, especially over how he finished last year. So I really like Cam Akers, and I think Cam Akers look at. With that being said, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button for future content. We will see you on the next one. Bye.